Welcome back, Knicks fans. The New York Knicks played the ball game tonight. They played against the Los Angeles Lakers out in LA. First half, they played an excellent ball game. In the first half, there was a lot of ball movement. I think they had like 17 assists in the first half, which was great. Second half, they just looked terrible. In the second half, they went to basically ISO basketball, didn't move the ball around very well. And the coach just didn't make any adjustments in the third quarter. The only adjustment he made was like after Monk dropped about 18 points or so in the third quarter. He brought in Burst to kind of help cool him off a little bit. But it was a little too late as far as that's concerned. But there were other adjustments he should have made. The fact that they just kept forcing it through Julius Randle in that third quarter, and he turned over the ball, I think, a couple of times in that third quarter, trying to play ISO basketball. Not necessarily playing ISO to get his own shot, but I think it was to make plays for others as well. But it was just a really bad look. Everyone knows and have already established like Julius Randle is just not. He's not a primary. Well, for this team this year, he's just not a primary playmaker for this team. You just have to go a different route. And so they basically went away from R.J. Barrett in that third quarter, and basically there's a heavy dose of Julius Randle, and it just didn't work for the Knicks. Didn't work very well. The other place where the Knicks really struggled is actually in the paint. They really struggled immensely in the paint, keeping like the Lakers, off the boards, closing out possessions, and a lot of it is because of the rotations. Right? It's like we get broken down too easily all the time. Mitchell Robinson is at 3-point line challenging a 3-point shooter while Anthony Davis is in the paint, and R.J. Barrett is trying to keep R.J. Barrett is trying to keep Anthony Davis away from the ball because of the rotation is broken down. Not that it necessarily broke down, but because of the rotation that's happened, because our defense got broken down, Mitchell Robinson's at the 3-point line challenging a 3-point shooter. So it's a real big problem that the Knicks have. They need to find a way to shore up the perimeter defense. R.J. Barrett, it's not an issue with R.J. It's really more Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker, and so that's where the problem lies with them on the defensive end. And some of the things that the coach has done early in the season has really come to haunt this team and bite them in the butt. That one of them is his refusal to play rookies. Even if it's like 3-5 minutes a game, just to get them used to the NBA game. And he hasn't done that. Now he's kind of, back the team up into a corner, because if they do want to make a playoff push, now are you really going to start playing these young guys, these rookies, very much, especially if they're not ready, right? Because right now there's no more room for mistakes. There was a lot of room for mistakes early in the season, and so that was when you were supposed to play the rookies and play the kids. But now, there's no room for error. We're, what is it, 5 games under 500, and if you say and Tom Thibodeau feels like he wants to win every game, he's backed himself into a corner where he can't win a lot of games, especially with this lineup he has. It's just a terrible lineup. The first unit, they'll have a good game. The second unit will have a terrible game. Then you have a game where first unit plays terrible, second unit plays great. And then even when that happens, he doesn't even know how to manage it. He won't even know how to ride the hot hand. And so it's unfortunate the way, this team has played throughout the whole season. And so they need to figure out a way forward from here. And so they have two options. They can either, if they want to keep Julius Randle, they're going to have to get the ball out of his hands. RJ needs to be the primary playmaker for this team. And the other thing they will probably have to do, they need to get a good point guard. I don't know where they're going to get a good solid point guard from, because they need better point guard play. All this stuff that they're doing with Alec Burks at the point guard, that's just silly. It's just laughable. It just doesn't make any sense why they keep going to, Alec Burks at the point guard position. He's made some pretty nice plays, but you can't have this guy playing 30 minutes at point guard. That just doesn't make any sense. He's not a point guard. And so they need to figure that out. So if they're going to keep Julius Randle, they need to get the ball out of his hands. Just have him make decisions. Make the game very easy for him. Get him open shots and tell him, if you're open, just shoot the ball. And if you have a lane to the basket, off a pick and roll or something like that, then you drive hard to the basket and you finish. They just got to find a way to make this game really easy for him. The only way to do that is by putting the ball in R.J. Barrett's hands more often, and also by getting a point guard. And so, but if they don't want to go that route and they don't feel like they really want to move on from Julius Randle, then they should do that and and hopefully trade for a point guard. I've been hearing a lot about De'Aaron Fox, and I think that's actually a great trade for the New York Knicks. I know he's not a great shooter. However, Julius Randle is not a very good shooter himself either, and so it's good. Some people think it's a lateral move, but not really. We have a greater need at point guard, and we actually have a pretty solid power forward on the bench in Obi Toppin. And so, actually, the trade for De'Aaron Fox is actually going to end up making the Knicks a better team than they are right now, a more talented team. So, that's just what I think these Knicks they should do going forward. They need to find a way to just basically, and they need to trade for a point guard. Whether if they need to give up Julius Randle, that's fine because they have Obi Toppin, or if they need to give up not Quentin Grimes, if they need to give up basically Kemba Walker, and Alec Burks, to get some kind of just serviceable, decent point guard. I mean, our point guard play is so bad. Like our guard play is just so terrible that any decent guard would do. They just need to get any decent guard on this team, and this team will play much better. And so that's pretty much what I have. That's what this team needs to do. The coach, he just doesn't like to make adjustments. It's almost like he's paralyzed. He just sticks to his plan, and he doesn't deviate from the plan very often. And it's an odd way to coach. It doesn't make any sense, right? Because things change, right? Your plan is not always correct, and so a lot of times he just makes very minor adjustments, and it's almost like he feels like maybe he doesn't even make adjustments in terms of the play he's running really, and then he never makes adjustments to rotations. So if things change during the game, it's almost he thinks I don't know what adjustments he thinks he's gonna make without making adjustments to rotation where it's gonna basically is gonna work, where he's gonna see a more positive impact on the game. So I'm not a coach. I'm not a professional coach, and so this guy. Overall he's been a winning coach, and so um, so obviously he's doing something right. He's changed his team's culture, which is great. However, he's made some really bad decisions. He's made bad decisions. In game decisions haven't always been that great either, and so so maybe the front office need to find a way to just bail him out and save him from himself, and that wouldn't. I think that would mean basically find a way to get rid of Alec Burks, Kemba Walker, and also Nerlens Noel. If you get rid of those three, I think you may be able to free up some time for McBride, and then and also and maybe we might see some Jericho Sims. But the only thing I'm afraid of is if you basically trade Nerlens Noel, then the coach is going to go back to playing Taj Gibson 30 minutes a game, which is ridiculous. The stuff this coach does, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's really crazy to me. It's almost like he does the same thing over and over again, even though it's wrong. He just doesn't even make any adjustments. And although he's actually a pretty solid coach, he's great at basically kind of creating a template of how or kind of a theme of how his team is going to play. He kind of does a good job of that. And so the identity is supposed to be defense, right? Although we're struggling with that this year, but that's because he doesn't really have the players to do that. Actually, no, he does, but he doesn't want to play them. So it's just really interesting with this guy because he just makes a lot of these crazy decisions, does the same thing over and over again. That's wrong, and it just makes him look foolish. And but anyway, let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe, make your comments below, and I'll be more than happy to respond. Thank you so much.